Some clinicians think cryotherapy is easy. The truth is, it is. Sometimes far too easy. I'm going to give you 5 simple, critical steps for your success. In no time at all, you'll be mastering this powerful weapon, adding it to your medical armoury for your patients, ready to vanquish any lesion that dares deform your patient's skin. Your patients can walk in concerned that they have a skin cancer and walk out not only appropriately diagnosed and reassured, but also treated, all in one seamless consultation. Not every hero wears a cape, you know. I wish I had a cape. In the video description below, you can download a summary of these 5 steps and the patient leaflet I talk about. It's been recognised for millennia that cold can cause you to lose limbs or even kill you. I have seen doctors use cryotherapy on a patient without knowing what that skin lesion is. Just because you can doesn't mean to say you should. As you pull out your gun, always remind yourself of this fact. You don't have a histological diagnosis. Who said that? If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Doctors have been sued for freezing a skin lesion they thought was only a skin tag. Later turned out to be a melanoma. Therefore, the first and most important rule of cryotherapy is make a proper diagnosis. You may already be comfortable making a diagnosis of a simple viral wart or a skin tag, although that's clearly not true for every doctor. But beyond that, can you be sure that what you think is a seborrheic keratosis isn't in fact a skin cancer? How can we make a confident diagnosis in primary care without cutting out a skin lesion or referring our patients on to someone else? Let me think. Of course. Silly me. As you gain experience and confidence in diagnosing skin conditions using a dermoscope, your ability to treat a range of skin conditions safely with cryotherapy will increase. Cryotherapy and dermoscopy go together like green eggs and ham, or a new haircut and regret, pigeons and freshly washed cars, kids and sticky fingers. What skin conditions can we safely treat in primary care using cryotherapy? Before we can answer that question, it's critical for your success to first understand what happens when you apply liquid nitrogen spray to the skin. Liquid nitrogen has a boiling point of minus 196 centigrade. Cooling the skin to about minus 10 causes little cell damage. As the temperature drops further, ice crystals form, damaging cell membranes and intracellular structures. The speed at which you achieve this freeze affects how effective it is cell destruction. A common error when first using cryotherapy is not freezing a skin lesion quick enough. Secondly, the different cell types within the skin have different sensitivities to low temperatures. Melanocytes are super sensitive to cold damage, and hyperpigmentation is therefore sometimes to be expected, even in people with a light skin colour. A freeze of 30 seconds or less is unlikely to damage fibroblasts and connective tissue elements within the skin, so scarring is unlikely. Therefore, keep an individual freeze to 30 seconds or less. Finally, the freeze zone you produce isn't the same temperature throughout. It's dome-shaped with a gradient of temperatures. You need temperatures of minus 40 to minus 50 to ensure cell death. That is why a freeze zone should include a normal margin of skin around the lesion that is also frozen. Failure to do this can result in a donut effect, where the centre is treated but there is a rim of the lesion that survives and is left behind. Knowing these 3 things, we can now look at the skin lesions ripe for cryogun treatment and those that you should avoid. All these are in the top layer of the skin and are benign, non-cancerous skin lesions. With experience in primary care, it's possible to treat smaller superficial BCCs and in situ SCC, being also epidermal in location. Start with the simple stuff first. Knowing what you shouldn't treat can be as important as knowing what you can treat. Undiagnosed skin lesions. Can I repeat that too often for them, do you think? Moles, because if it's a common mole, why are you treating it? And if you're worried it's a melanoma, it needs cutting out, not cryotherapy. Intradermal nevuses I avoid because the clue's in the name, intradermal, and they have deep roots. You leave some behind. Circulation compromised areas. I rarely, if ever, freeze a lesion on the lower leg. It's possible, but I warn the patient about the longer healing times involved and the risk of ulceration. What about this patient? It has grown over a few weeks and it is in the most awkward location. It's causing symptoms. Look at the dermoscopy. It's a nice benign pattern, a frog spawn type. So it's either a viral wart or seborrheic keratosis. I was so tempted to treat this with a small freeze. Anywhere else I would have, but cryotherapy can damage hair roots. It would probably work okay, but he wouldn't thank me for permanent eyelash hair loss. I decided to let someone else make the decision of how to treat this. For this patient with a finger wart, always consider the area below your freeze zone. There's a nerve here, so warnings about residual numbness and loss of sensation would be needed, even if the risk of nerve damage is small. Thanks for getting rid of my wart, doc, but my finger is now numb. I'm a rock band guitarist and I've lost my living. Where's a lawyer when you need one? The second step that you need to undertake is good patient and skin lesion selection. What can your patient expect from cryotherapy? Well, let me try it. Ow! That's why young children tolerate it poorly. But I have frozen warts in children as young as 7. I take each child on their merits. I try a few test sprays on them to see if they can tolerate for long enough. Be aware of parents persuading them. You can try topical anaesthetic creams beforehand, using cling film to keep the cream on the skin for long enough, a few hours before treatment. Freezing involves numbing nerve endings. Therefore, the pain is worse after the skin thaws. Take patient consent very seriously. Only treat if the benefits outweigh the risks. And that's for your patient to decide, not you. But this only works if you have given them the right information to begin with to make an informed decision. In the notes, write information sheet provided and discussed before cryo. The pain, likely side effects, risks involved and time taken to heal. Look at the nose of this 11-year-old boy. It's clearly a filiform wart. However, he was starting to refuse to go to school because people were calling him Rhino Boy. We discussed treatment with cryotherapy and the risk of scarring, especially with it being on the face. He and his mother were happy to try a 15-second freeze. Checking back a month later, it had dropped off, nicely healed, and he was back at school. Step 3. Patient education and preparation is not optional. As soon as you start thinking about using cryotherapy, start printing the patient information leaflet in preparation. Cryotherapy only takes 1 minute or so to apply. Spend at least 5 times that amount devoted to ensuring your patient is happy for you to hurt them and fully understand the consequences of the assault you are planning on their skin. I quickly go through and circle the critical points on the patient sheet for them that I want them to understand, and give them time to ask questions and consider their options. As the old saying goes, act in haste, repent at leisure. I find it quicker to take a photograph of the skin lesion and put those in the patient's notes rather than writing a long detailed description. I just write, see photographs. A picture paints 1,000 words and is powerful from a medical legal point of view. I don't know about you, but my memory is sometimes as reliable as a thermometer left in the sun. And on follow-up, a photograph can quickly remind me of all the details. Step 4. Make it a habit to put photographs in the notes. I hesitate to point you to this video here just to say this video is an experiment and comes with an X18 rating. What's the point of all this if you don't have access to liquid nitrogen? It's an industrial liquid and needs a professional delivery to be stored in what are called dewars close to where it's most needed. These dewars come in a variety of sizes. They have a pressure release valve because if they didn't, the pressure would build up until it exploded. The contents gradually evaporate and ours needs topping up about every 2 months. When needed, I put some into a handheld flask, which also has a pressure release valve. You can just check it by doing this. I find a full flask will last me around 4 hours, treating patients along the way. Let's review. You've made a diagnosis, decided the lesion is one you can treat with cryotherapy. The patient is keen and you've given careful counselling. You've taken photographs to include in the patient's notes. What else do you need to know? It's time to do the fun easy bit. You need to know how to apply that freeze. Here's a chart with suggestions where to start for particular skin lesions. FTC means a freeze thaw cycle. For tough warts, I will often apply 2 30-second freezes with a full thaw of the lesion in between. Sometimes 1 session will do the job. Warts can be much more resistant, particularly verrucas, so learn more about warts and their treatment from this video here. This lady came with these horrible warts on her toes. It was painful when she was wearing shoes. I wasn't sure how well they would respond to cryotherapy, so initially I just gave one a 30-second freeze and reviewed her 3 weeks later. Nothing had changed. I tried to par down the surface using a blade, but they were far too hard. We agreed to try 2 30-second freeze-thaw cycles. This was how they looked 4 weeks later. One has already dropped off, the others are flattened into a hard scab and they're going to drop off in due course. She was delighted already and says she can wear her shoes without any pain again. Thank you, doc. Now, where's my cape? Step 5. Choose the right plan and use good technique. Remember, your patients are your best teachers, but only if you choose to listen to them. When starting out using cryotherapy, I recommend you review patients at 1, 2, 4 and 6 weeks, looking at the wound. In that way, you will build up an understanding of how the skin responds to cryotherapy. These days, I mostly do this follow-up remotely, using a clinical safe text system, and patients sending me attached photographs and feedback. I see them again in person if there's a problem, they wish to see me, or if we need to decide if there's a need for another round of treatment. In the video description below, you can now download a summary of these 5 steps and the patient leaflet I talked about. Now, go, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Keep learning, and if you haven't already, watch this video on viral warts or this one on seborrheic keratosis. Training a primary care dermoscopist for every general practice.